Many people might not have known that. About 6 months ago, here in Abuja, and some of us that attended the meeting came out openly and criticized the organization as well as other northern organizations. What did we say at the meeting? Because I was one of the speakers at that very meeting 6 months ago in Abuja, and we made it clear to all the participants there that we cannot be sitting, talking, shouting, complaining. We must have something concrete to look at and present a common agenda. We must have a common platform to be able to atomize our issues, bring everyone together. And of course, at that very meeting about 6 months ago, I also spoke like the way I spoke in Kaduna, and I made it clear to everyone that first and foremost, some of us that are leaders, and I said it there, that we should look at ourselves in the mirror, particularly those that were in the helm of affairs in this country from northern Nigeria in the last 20 years. We should look at ourselves in the mirror and accept the blame that we have failed our region. And I asked that we should apologize, and I stood up there and I apologized first. And at that point, and I called the leadership of Samuel Bello Memorial Foundation. His Excellency Babangida Aliyu was there, all the leaders were there, and I asked them, it's important we all sit together, come up with a holistic approach. Most times, sometimes we always lose our voices when another leader is leading our country. And I asked at that meeting, where was our voices years ago? And I also informed them at that meeting. That was the one of 6 months ago. Before I now come to the one we did just 2 days ago. It's a follow-up to the one we did in Abuja. Many people didn't take notice of that. And at that meeting, we made it clear to everyone that, of course, we have Arewa Consultative Forum, we have Samuel Bello's Memorial Foundation, we have many organizations. And I was telling them, let's come together. We have common problem, and we must have common solution to the problem. But what I don't like, I said it at that meeting, was that we cannot be sitting blaming everyone, but we always take blame all the time to people that are not from our zone. Particularly, I made it clear that we cannot sit there and be blaming this current administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Let me repeat it here today. I will continue to say that. If we want to correct this problem, we must take the blame.
Nevertheless, Governor, there is nothing wrong. I mean, if you're going to make an assessment, it has to be an across-the-board assessment. So whilst you're quite right in saying that a lot of the problems in the north are potentially self-inflicted, as are other regions of Nigeria, it's not just the north, because there's a lot of, a lot of people don't trust their politicians. It doesn't matter which part of Nigeria you're from. But the fact is also that Nigeria has a centralized government system.
Fantastic.
And therefore, the responsibility must also go to the doorstep of the person who is in charge of this country. And there seemed to be a lot of discussion around the issue of the North being marginalized by the Tinubu administration. And there were very caustic remarks in that direction, but those remarks had merits, don't they?
Let me come to that, because, when I come to talk, I want to be specific.
Sure.
Let's look at this issue. Can we look at these developmental indices one by one? When you talk of marginalization, don't just say...
Well, it's not me talking, it's them.
No, they're talking. When they talk, you're a journalist, you should interrogate what they say. Number one, here in this country, the Minister of Agriculture of this country is from where? It's from Northern Nigeria. The Minister of State for Agriculture is from Northern Nigeria. Let me give an example of Kaduna, where I come from. Because when you're talking about Nigeria, let's break it down to subnationals. I'm from Kaduna. When I came as a governor, the budget of agriculture was about 1.4 billion. And remember, the Malabo Declaration in 2014 was that if we want to really transform agriculture, no subnational or national government should budget less than 10% in agriculture. Today in Kaduna, our budget is about 12% in agriculture. So that is number one. But the reason why we can do this thing easily, because both the Minister of State and the Minister of Agriculture, both of them, one is from Borno State, one is from Niger State, they're from Northern Nigeria. The Minister of Livestock is from Northern Nigeria. What are the major issues when we're talking about human capital development? It's healthcare. The Minister of Health is from where? From Bauchi State. We're talking about insecurity in Northern Nigeria. Today, the National Security Advisor is from Northern Nigeria. The Minister of Defense is from Northern Nigeria. The Minister of State for Defense is from Northern Nigeria. The Chief of Defense Staff is from Northern Nigeria. If you look at it again, the Chief of the Air Staff is from Northern Nigeria. We, as a governor of Kaduna State, today you need to ask me, how do we address the problem of insecurity? When I came to Kaduna, you don't need to tell anyone. Kaduna was completely taken over by issue of banditry, insurgency, and religious crisis in Kaduna State. You can ask anyone. That is a fact. They are journalists. You can investigate. You'll find out the answer. Today, in the last 2 years, we have not experienced one single ethno-religious crisis in Kaduna State. That is not the role of Mr. President. It's the role of subnational governments to do that. Today in Kaduna, in the last 2 years, you've not had a single farmer had a crisis. 3 weeks ago, I was going to Kaduna local government to attend a function. I stopped over. Maybe one of your journalists was there. He covered it. Nisi, we stopped over at a particular village in Kaduna local government. That was an epicenter of religious crisis. But I was happy when I saw Fulani fathers as well as farmers living together in the same community with a farm and cows just about less than 50 meters away.
So how did you solve that problem?
I solved the problem because what you need to do is inclusivity. You need to include everyone. President Aswaju didn't need to come to the north to tell you how to run your own state. We are a diverse state in Kaduna. We have Muslim, Christian, about 60 ethnic groups in Kaduna State. As a leader, the first thing you need to do is about justice. It's about equity. It's about fairness. And when we're talking about justice, equity, fairness, taking development to every part of the state, irrespective of religious, political, or ethnic affiliation. When I came as a governor, of course, at the beginning, I was elected mostly by people from the northern part of Kaduna. But today, when you go to Kaduna, you see the roads we are constructing. We do not discriminate. What is more important is for a leader to choose. Are you going to put forward politics as number one agenda or governance?
Yeah, well,
for us, governance is more important. Yeah. That's the reason why we solved that. Yeah. Now, talking about the issue of security, you are asking me what have the president done. As a governor, before I became governor, I was a senator, chairman Senate Committee on Banking. But if you go back to my history, realize that I was a senator that sponsored the creation of state police. Knowing fully as a senator, I was watching and sitting. As of 2014, ask anyone, there was nothing called insurgency or banditry in the northwestern part of Nigeria. It started around 2015. It became worse by 2021. Now,
so under an APC government.
Fantastic. Now, what I'm talking about here, because I'm a very blunt person, I'm not talking as a politician.
Yeah,
you need to know my antecedent. People talk about democracy. Some of us fought for this democracy. I was detained, charged 5 times by successful military government in Nigeria. And what were we doing? Fighting for democracy, fighting for rule of law, fighting for justice. As a governor, I cannot sit before you and start telling you what I don't believe in. It's a fact. So what am I saying? I'm saying the major problem facing northern Nigeria today is the issue of insecurity, because it will affect every form of development.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I came as a governor, 162 of our schools were completely abandoned because of insecurity. 192 primary healthcare centers were closed because of insecurity. If you are familiar with a town called Binangwari, when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came to Kaduna precisely on the 22nd December 2022 for a campaign, we traveled together with him from Kaduna to Binangwari. We couldn't reach Binangwari without almost 20 APC armored vehicles provided to us by late Labaja. He was a GOC 1 Mechanized Division Kaduna. Today, you can go to Binangwari with the eyes closed. No problem in security. Yeah. Nobody has been kidnapped there. That is progress for me. Yeah. The farmers of Binangwari have gone back to the farm. We have already recovered and reclaimed about 500,000 hectares of farmland that were abandoned previously. So if you sit down with me and tells me there's no progress, I will not believe you. Because I'm sitting as a governor of Kaduna State. Local governments like Igabi, Giwa, Binangwari, Kachia, Zangon, where Christopher Musa comes from, the chief of defense of you asking. He can't dare get in there easily. But today, you can get to those local governments. That is what we progress.
You've made the point. We commend the fact that in your own state,
my state, I'm speaking for my state.
You've managed to do these things.
That's why I'm speaking.
But that's not, your state doesn't represent the whole of the northern region, does it? I mean, you've got 19 states in the north, and many of them are ravaged by insecurity. And the kind of insecurity differs depending on the state.
No, ours is worse. I will tell you why.
Well,
ours is worse than many states. The only difference is you have to study Kaduna model. That's what you should have asked me.
Yeah, but no, I was going to come to that.
And
I asked you that question at the outset. How did you do it? I mean, the point really is that there are different types of insecurity in different places. I mean, they have their kind of local accent, if you like. I mean, if you go to Borno State in the northeast, they've got Boko Haram there. I mean, that's a completely different thing. In your own state, you may well be able to sit down with people and say, okay, you're a farmer, you're a herder. How do we include this? You don't do that. It's very difficult to do that with Boko Haram.
And I'll tell you why. No. Yeah. Because you see, sometimes looking at the insecurity issue, we just have to sit down and analyze what are the symptoms and the drivers of insecurity. I agree with you. Boko Haram is more of an ideology issue. But when you're talking about insurgency in the northwest, it's an economic matter.
Indeed.
That is the reason why when we came in, we said, look, we cannot resolve that using kinetic approach only.
So why aren't the other governors following what you're doing?
Of course, at the conference, if you listen to the National Security Advisor, he made it clear that many other governors, they are talking with his office. Because when I came with that idea, and I'll tell you why I did that. I'm not accusing any governor, but it's because of my experience as a senator. I was the person that was trying to amend Firearms Act. You have to go and study Firearms Act, Mr. Charles, you'll be shocked. It's obsolete for 22 years now. It's not in line with the global best practice. You look at the United Nations report. You will agree with me, about 250 to 200 million illegal firearms are in circulation in sub-Saharan Africa.
Indeed.
And out of that number, about 70% are in Nigeria. Why? Because our institutions are weak. When I was in the Senate, I wanted to amend the Firearms Act. Charles, we lost it. And when we lost it, I lost hope that we can be able to address the issue of insecurity using kinetic approach. Because, number one, the number of the entire military in Nigeria is still less than 400,000. About 250,000 precisely. 250,000 military in the whole of Nigeria. Police are still less than 400,000. So put the police and the military together. You are still not up to 700,000. You can go around and you will agree with me, we have many, many ungoverned spaces in Nigeria. Go to the northwest, see the borders. We're sharing with many countries across the African.
Yeah, but the question we have to ask ourselves.
Yes. So we not listen to this Kaduna State governor. We not wait this man talk, because when this man talk, this man is very sincere. Now the fact, let the man talk. You understand? Can you imagine? The northern that they complain say they say President Tinubu it is support SASAT more than the Northerners. You understand? I don't understand. Now these same people, Now these same people, when their people they lead, where their people they lead us, all the people don't they complain? Don't they let their voice? Do you relax? But when the Southerners they lead, when the Southerners they lead, do start they complain? Yeah. Okay, make una look at during Buhari time. During Buhari time, we rule us 8 years. All these Northerners they no complain. But immediately when any certain person did that position, they'll begin to complain. Look, you see look during the Ulo Jonathan. All these people plan to remove Ulo Jonathan. You understand? At least more they blame themselves. More they pour the blame to everybody. You understand? No need to blame themselves. See this man, what this man you talk, na very nice thing. This man not dey biased at all. You understand? Una you sit now, they blame people. Whereas with the fault they deal with you now. Well, I don't matter too much, you understand? Because right for time, na so it be. Not be new thing. Na so the narrative they go. So na so that they play all the old Satans. So well, make una your drop na thought on that conversation. So what is this man talk? He did right or he not did right? Now let us know. For me, the man say the facts, and the man he don't dey biased at all. And reason for sugar boy.